has become a fun pastime for Gen Z, millennials, and pretty much anyone with a pulse who lives near a Goodwill. You can complain about resellers and Depop girlies all you want, but we're all connected by our love for secondhand clothing and not wanting to contribute to the fast fashion industry, which is unfortunately taking over thrift shops and consignment stores everywhere. So let's talk about some of these thrift store chains and also go in person to local thrift stores to see kind of what's happening in there.
Your daddy was home when you left. You're right. Your mama was home when you left. You're right. Your sister was home when you left. You're right. Your brother was home when you...
Thrifting used to be so simple. You went in, dug through some racks, and maybe you came out with a jacket that smelled like cigarettes and old book pages, but like in a cool, this is my entire personality kind of way. It was pretty practical, especially coming from a single-parent, low-income household. You pinched pennies where you could. For decades, thrift stores have been serving low-income communities and people just trying to rebuild their lives. Resale platforms like Depop, Poshmark, and Vinted helped shift thrifting from a budget survival tactic to a trend-based lifestyle choice. The resale clothing market is growing faster than traditional retail, and it's expected to keep growing and growing and growing in the coming years. Thrift store chains, especially Goodwill and Salvation Army, have adapted to this by pricing their donations according to their perceived trend value. That means an old-ass pair of Levi's that would have been $6 5 years ago now is $25 or more, and that's used. This pricing shift has a real impact on low-income shoppers who have historically depended on thrift stores for affordable clothing, and now they're experiencing a new hurdle. The economic logic from these chains is that, oh, people are willing to pay more, but when they raise these prices, they're pushing out the people who actually needed the affordability. And unfortunately, the narrative that thrifting reduces fashion waste isn't as clean as it's marketed. Studies in Nature Sustainability show that even if the secondhand clothing is cheaper, it can lead to people buying way more overall because the purchases feel low stakes and guilt-free. So instead of replacing fast fashion, thrifting can unintentionally lead to the same consumption loop, just like in a quirkier outfit. And the culture of constantly needing to look for the next find is still consumerism, even if the items are secondhand.
Oh my god, there's coat glasses. Miku.
Thrift flipping is about creativity, taking something old and unloved and reviving it. Depop, Instagram, and TikTok Shop have taught people that they can turn $4 jeans into $80 vintage Y2K low-rise pieces. And honestly, for some people, this is an entrepreneurial lifeline. But the sheer scale of reselling has changed so much just in the past few years, especially when it comes to furniture. Yes, Lori, that beautiful solid wood cabinet from the 70s needed to be painted gray and covered in shiplap. For $900 too. Thank you so much for posting that on Facebook Marketplace. My life has been changed, truly. Resellers often target high-demand categories. We're talking denim, workwear, vintage graphic tees, leather, and branded jackets. These items used to be a reward for sifting through a maze of questionable low-rise capris, and now they're quickly snatched, rephotographed, and marked up sometimes 20 times what they were originally bought for. When stores see these pieces reselling fast, they raise their base prices to match the market rate, which pushes affordability further out of reach. I think a lot of Depop girlies just get a bad rep. While, yeah, I do find it annoying that they'll take a sweater or a jacket and resell it at market value, but these people have always been a part of the thrifting ecosystem. You just never noticed it until they took a sweater that you wanted for yourself and overheard them talking about reselling it later. At the end of the day, they saw a niche market, and they're a small business taking advantage of said niche market. Their buyers don't want to leave the comfort of their couch to hunt and gather a Eddie Bauer top. They just want to buy it outright. And when Amber Lay inevitably can't sell the doo-doo stained, falling apart Carhartt jacket for $250, it'll end up right back at the thrift store where it started. But even so, it creates this weird paradox, because thrifting is supposed to be the alternative to fast fashion's waste and exploitation. But when reselling becomes about scarcity, trends, and profit, it recreates the same pressures and inequalities as mainstream retail does. It's already hard enough to find something in your size that you actually like in person at a big chain store, but now instead of just crying in the dressing room of a Walmart, you're crying in the dressing room of a smelly consignment shop. And the joy of finding something unique and meaningful becomes, I'm competing with small businesses to get pants, and I'm paying the same amount of money I would at the mall for a Bobby Jack t-shirt. So I was about to go into Goodwill to look at their prices and stuff, but before I went into Goodwill, I went to Wawa because A, I needed gas, and B, I needed an energy drink. They had the new Red Bull flavor, the new Winter Red Bull. It is pussy popping at this Goodwill today. It's Wednesday. It's senior discount day. So I'm gonna try this. It's Fuji apple and ginger. This is significantly better than last year's winter edition. Unpopular opinion, I didn't like the vanilla in my Red Bull. I want it to taste like fruity and zazzy and like I'm going if I'm drinking a Red Bull. I also got buffalo chicken balls.
Okay, Kesha, what are you doing here?
If I'm being completely honest, while there was a fuck ton, like a metric fuck ton of shein, there was also, like, a lot of Wild Fable and surprisingly, Tommy Bahama and Eddie Bauer. Those were probably the biggest. We had Lane Bryant. There was a lot of brands that were in there, and it was just, for some reason, people enter a thrift store and then completely forget, like, basic human decency. Goodwill and their public image focuses on job training, employment programs, and community support, which many of these programs do provide real services, especially to people experiencing homelessness. However, Goodwill and their internal labor practices have faced a lot of criticism, and understandably so. Several investigations have highlighted the use of sub-minimum wage labor under a federal loophole, Section 14C of the Fair Labor Standards Act. This federal provision states that employees can pay certain workers with disabilities a sub-minimum wage, less than the federal minimum wage, provided they have a certificate from the Department of Labor. Goodwill claims that this program provides employment opportunities where they might not otherwise exist, but it's easy to see that this model is outdated and exploiting their disabled workers.
People of all disability levels work at Goodwill, but some question whether they're being paid a fair wage. An NBC News investigation showed some workers make just pennies an hour, while several CEOs make six figures. Federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, but Goodwill officials tell me program participants only make about $4.50 an hour. And that's the average, but some get paid higher and others lower than that.
It's legal to do that, but I would say it's unfair and unethical, especially when the executives are making so much money.
Do you want to know how much these CEOs make? Because this is public knowledge. You can just go online and look up how much these people make, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars here. Are we being for real? Just because a person that they decided to hire is disabled doesn't mean that they're worth any less than an able-bodied person. Circling back on pricing and accessibility, Goodwill's shift towards market-based pricing means stores now evaluate donations based on the brand and its trend factors. Goodwill's logic in that is to maximize revenue for programs, but the effect is now that low-income shoppers get priced out of clothing that used to be accessible. And now most Goodwills divert their higher value donations to Goodwill Online, where items are auctioned off to the highest bidder as the perceived worth is above a certain monetary threshold. That means a donated winter coat could have went to a Depop girly, someone struggling with homelessness, or a Chuck in a truck who just discovered it at the bins may instead get sold off for thousands of dollars when Goodwill got it for free. Goodwill and its decentralized structure means that experiences vary by region. Some local stores have been praised for their trans-inclusive employment practices, while others have been criticized for lack of staff or training or poor treatment of unhoused customers. The takeaway isn't every Goodwill is evil, because the size allows for good practices and harmful practices dependent on the location, and transparency is inconsistent. It's really a lose-lose if you support them or you don't support them. If they don't get mass support, and at-risk people lose out on job support and community programs. But if you do support certain locations, you're supporting a company that thinks disabled people deserve less than because they're disabled. I just want a $4 t-shirt, dude. On my mama, on my Mimi, on my Pop-Pop, and on my Grammy, fuck Salvation Army. On me, fuck Salvation Army. On my mommy. They operate less like a charity and more like a sprawling corporation with billions in assets. And because they're categorized as a church, they get away with way more financial opacity than most organizations could ever dream of. They face no obligation to tell you where any of their donated money goes, And that lack of accountability becomes absolutely glaring when you pair it with their very public history of discriminatory issues. Even when Salvation Army tries to rebrand itself as inclusive, their actual policies, funding decisions, and testimonies from former employees tell a completely different story. Their attempts at damage control often feel more like PR band-aids more than any meaningful systemic change. Inside the stores themselves, a mix of chaotic pricing, inconsistent sorting standards, and labor practices that raise eyebrows are super common. And I mean, my stepdad was literally a manager at a local Salvation Army store in 2017, and on multiple occasions found employees and other management stealing money from registers, and when he brought it up to higher management, he was told to overlook it and not talk about it. Allegedly, I have to say allegedly. Meanwhile, Salvation Army is receiving millions of dollars of donated goods, and when customers do eventually step into the store, they're met with rising prices that completely contradict the original mission of affordability. And the general store experience reveals how profit is obviously prioritized over actual community support. Tons of donations end up in landfills or bulk auctioned overseas, and only a fraction ever reaches the sales floor, which unfortunately is very common for these large chain thrift stores. Salvation Army still markets itself as a lifeline for vulnerable populations, but when their stores, labor structures, and policies constantly contradict that message, it becomes clear that doing the most good doesn't affect reality. Were they doing the most good for Jennifer Gale, the trans woman who died in the cold outside of an Austin area Salvation Army shelter after being denied because of her gender presentation? Oh, or was it doing the most good when the Brooklyn Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center was charged with discriminating against transgender patients by the New York Commission on Human Rights? Because according to their press release, Salvation Army was charged with gender identity discrimination for refusing to accept transgender patients and assigning rooms based on a patient's gender assigned at birth rather than their gender identity, subjecting patients to physical examinations, and forcing transgender patients in separate rooms.
Brother, your
yellow
sister,
and
the
so
dog, the
dirty.
cat, the fish was home when you left.
I don't know why I
And
touched him.
that's
He
the
could be
reason
probably
you
being
left.
pissed.
As someone who spent their entire life paycheck to paycheck and all around poor, thrifting, yard sales, and antiquing have been a big part of my life. All of my life. But I will never forget the feeling of waking up early on a Saturday morning to go look at local yard sales and church-affiliated secondhand stores and being in awe of the cool things that were donated. But as a result of that, I now have the same interior decorating style as my Grammy, and I am now enamored by doilies and heart-shaped wooden furniture. Anyways, I love the thrift store, and I think the normalization of secondhand clothing is great. So do you guys want to see what I got? It's just so, they have so much glassware. It's just so cool. If I had a mantle. Ooh, if I had a mantle. Christmas! Oh, you know I like Christmas stuff. Oh, never mind. Funko Pops are in here. I know someone's millennial mama is about to go crazy in this no mile. Oh my god, I need that painting. Hold on. Oh my god, there's Coke glasses. Miku! The only thing that I currently need is like a chip dish. Like for chip dips. Because I be having bitches over and I have to get out like 6 different bowls. You need a Celsius sign, you need a Rockstar sign, or a Pepsi sign. What? You need a sign, they got it, bro. Oh shit, I'm out pizzaing the Hut right now. Holy, $75. It's literally outside of the camera. This bitch is huge.
It's no use!
Y'all fucking with Mr. Bubble? I mean, you see him. There's a reason he needs to be in that damn cage. This is cute. Oh, is he getting his ass eat? Hold on. Yeah, bro, he's looking in his asshole.
Girl, what the fuck is you talking about?
Bro, he's digging in there. This is cute too. Oh my god, Disney knees. Hello. Andrew Zimmerman's Bizarre Game. Y'all fucking with Andrew Zimmerman, bro? Pet shampoo and the fur over remover right by the Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Ooh. I'm back! There's this lamp over here that I've been wanting for like 2 years. It's that one. That one! Oh my god! Oh, Batty shot a clock. Hello. This lamp's been here for like 2 years and I've been wanting it 2 years. And I want it real bad. It's only $43. Where would I put the lamp, you may ask? That's a good question. Actually, it could be gayer. He about to suck his fingers or something? What's happening there? There's a King Kong poster. There's a creature from the Black Lagoon. My bad. If it were up to me, this is how my apartment would look. Wow. That's beautiful. I think I might get that, actually. All right. Ow. I got it.
Laurel is a lower end market anyway, unfortunately. Some of the things that I sell here, I have dealers coming from Annapolis, Virginia Beach. They'll come here and buy because they can double their price taking it there.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yep.
You guys want to see shirts first, or you want to see what other things? I don't need to ask you. I love me an old t-shirt that my pop-pop would probably wear. So firstly, we have this Mustang shirt. $8. The second shirt I got is from Ram's Head on Stage in Annapolis, Maryland. I think this is from Ram's Head on Stage. That's why I got it. This is a cool shirt. This shirt was also $8. I also got this cute sweater. It says Van Heusen in it. Whatever the fuck that fucking means. But it's cute. I have, in fact, already worn this. I did immediately get home and throw all the shirts and this sweater that I got in the washer because I have a huge fear of bed bugs. It doesn't matter how clean the place is. Like, most of the thrift stores that I go to are relatively clean. There's a couple that I frequent that are literally just chicken houses in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. I really didn't get much. I also got 3 paintings because I have a gallery wall out in my living room. I also got this from Jen's Attic. It's gonna be a really cute space filler for my gallery wall. Spongy tweed. That's what it says at the bottom. Spongy tweed. $4. 4 of them. That's good as fuck. Pat, the owner of Pack Rats, I think that's where I got this. She gave me a really good deal on this piece. A, because I'm in there frequently, and B, we had a nice little conversation. I just could not leave it there. It's the Bay Bridge during a sunset. I love the Bay Bridge. I know for a lot of people, it's like overwhelming because it's so long. After everything was said and done, I came home and sorted through all of the videos that I got of just like going through the racks at the thrift stores. The top 5 brands that I saw the most of while out and about in these thrift stores were Talbot's, Loft, Cider or Shein, Eddie Bauer, and Gap, with the honorable mention of Wild Fable and Gildan t-shirts. Anyways, you should go to locally owned thrift stores, consignment shops, antique stores. Just give them your support where you can. Other than that, I'm done yapping in your ear. Okay. Bye.